Hey there, I'm called Aileen. On the day I turned 33, I found myself alone at a table reserved for 6. I slipped into heels I couldn't stand, poured wine meant for sharing, but no one came. Then my phone lit up, a text from my mom. You're not on our radar right now. They didn't just forget, they chose other plans, leaving me out. With the money I'd given them, they threw a bash for my brother instead. How do you recover from that kind of betrayal? Or maybe the real question is, why would you even try? I arrived 15 minutes early, just as the Denver skyline swallowed the sun, painting the streets in warm amber hues. A slight chill hung in the air, enough to make me grateful for my long-sleeve dress. It wasn't extravagant, but it was deliberate, a choice that said, I showed up for this. The hostess checked her list, flashed a smile. Party of 6. I nodded, smoothing the napkin in my grip. Yes, Aileen. I booked it last week. She guided me to a table by the front window, 6 chairs, pristine place settings, a single candle glowing softly at the center. I took the seat facing the door. The waiter approached. Would you like to order now, or? They're just a bit delayed. I cut in too fast. He gave a polite nod and left. I glanced at my phone, 6:47 p.m. No messages. I tried not to spiral. Zania's always fashionably late, I told myself. Curtis probably got distracted again. And Mom, she's never early unless it's for someone else's moment. I fiddled with my fork, adjusting it once, twice, 3 times, a nervous habit. I'd picked this restaurant for a reason, quiet, familiar, not too pricey, not too laid back. A place that whispered, you're worth this effort. I scrolled through my phone to look busy, an email from work, a sale ad from a store I'd stopped visiting. Then a text from Mom popped up. I unlocked it instantly. You're not on our radar right now. Enjoy your meal. That was it. No happy birthday. No explanation. Just 13 words that felt like they'd been rehearsed. I stared at the message, read it again, then once more. This wasn't an oversight. It was intentional. The waiter returned, carrying a wrapped package. Someone dropped this off for you earlier, he said. From your family. I thanked him, forcing a smile you give when you don't want questions. The wrapping was clean, minimalist gold, no frills, Zania style. I opened it carefully. Inside was a scarf, pale blue silk. My stomach sank. I bought this exact scarf for Mom last Christmas. I recognized the brand, the stitching, even the tiny snag where her ring had caught it. Tucked under the tissue paper was a card. Happy birthday from all of us. But faintly visible beneath was my own handwriting from last year. Love you always, Mom. They hadn't even used a fresh card, just scribbled over mine, like you could erase a memory that easily. I placed the scarf back in the box. My hands didn't shake, but my breath faltered. A couple nearby sang quietly, celebrating an anniversary. Laughter spilled from the bar. The world spun on. I sipped my wine, didn't cry, didn't call. No outburst, no scene. Just a heavy weight settling in my chest, like stone. When you've been left out enough times, it stops feeling like a shock. I thought of birthdays where I felt like an afterthought, where Zania gave speeches and skipped my name, or where I ended up behind the camera instead of in the frame. This time was different. This was my day, and they chose to skip it. I lingered a bit longer, watching streetlights flicker on one by one. Then I grabbed a sticky note from my purse, meant for a grocery list, and wrote 5 words. I left a $20 bill under my plate, more than enough for the wine, and walked out quietly. I didn't say goodbye to the waiter. I didn't check my phone. On the table, next to the untouched bread and the recycled gift, was my note. Thank you, no more chairs. Back at my apartment, Denver had gone still. The sky clung to its last streaks of blue before fading to black. I dropped my purse on the counter, kicked off my shoes, and tossed the sticky note by the empty fruit bowl. The apartment still carried traces of hairspray and expectation. I didn't turn on the lights. The city's glow was enough to navigate my disappointment. I poured a glass of water I wouldn't drink and sat on the couch's edge, like I was still expecting company. My phone buzzed. I ignored it for a moment, half hoping it was just a calendar alert. But curiosity won. An Instagram notification. Zania had posted a photo. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. The image loaded slowly, then hit like a gut punch. There they were. Mom, Zania, Curtis, Even Uncle Ray, who hadn't been invited to anything since he lied about Dad's will. They stood outside the Marina restaurant in Boulder, grinning, glowing, holding champagne flutes. Curtis was front and center, arms wide like a local legend. In his hand, a keyring with a motorcycle emblem. The caption read, "Toasting the dreamer, he did it." My stomach churned. I zoomed in. Mom was wearing the scarf they'd re-gifted me hours earlier. On Curtis's wrist, a sleek, expensive watch, the same one he texted me about 2 months ago, asking if it was too extravagant. I told him not to buy it. He said he couldn't afford it. Yet there it was. I set the phone down, staring at my reflection on the dark screen. Then I opened my banking app. There it was, $1,500 transferred to Curtis last Tuesday. He'd said it was for rent, that he was scared of eviction. He wasn't scared, he was shopping. I let the phone slip onto the couch. My chest didn't tighten, my eyes didn't burn. I felt detached, like I was watching this unfold from above. They didn't just exclude me, they funded their celebration with my generosity. I walked to my table, my laptop still open from earlier when I tried to confirm a reservation for people who never RSVP'd. I opened a financial folder and started a new document. Unreturned support. Line by line, I listed what I could recall. Car loan bailout, $2,800. Mortgage gap payments, $5,200. Emergency dental for Zania's son, $600. Motorcycle party I unknowingly bankrolled, $1,200. No receipts, no gratitude, no invitations. I copied Zania's photo and pasted it next to the last entry. Then I searched online for selective family neglect, hoping someone had named this better than I could. My phone buzzed again, a forwarded voicemail from Mom. I didn't play it. I let it sit on the screen while I watched headlights crawl in the distance. Somewhere, a couple was toasting an anniversary. Somewhere, a parent was hugging a child after a long week. Somewhere, people were choosing each other. Mine had chosen this. I whispered to the quiet, this is their choice. Let them own it. Morning came softly, like the world was trying not to disturb me. I woke not to an alarm but to light slipping through half-open blinds, cold and uninviting across the carpet. My apartment, still neat from hours of avoiding my feelings, looked like it was waiting for a guest who never showed. I didn't check my phone. I sat on the bed's edge, staring at my suitcase in the corner, still packed from a weekend I'd canceled to help Mom fix a pipe. She'd said she tried Curtis first, but you know how boys are. I missed a getaway with people who actually wanted me there, and I'd said, "It's fine, Mom, I'll come." It was never fine. I just didn't know how to say it. At the kitchen table, I opened my laptop and pulled up the spreadsheet from last night. I added a new tab, emotional debts. I listed not just the money but the moments I'd given up, canceled New Mexico trip for Curtis's car breakdown, Thanksgiving catering, no repayment, no acknowledgement, Zinnia's baby shower decor, last-minute ask, thanked only online, Mom's dental bill, promised repayment, never delivered. No tears, just facts. That's the difference between grief and clarity. Grief curls you up. Clarity sits you upright and demands evidence. My mind drifted. At Zinnia's wedding, I sat near the back with a caterer's intern and someone's ex. During the toast, she said, "To my incredible family," and forgot my name, pronouncing it Aileen like I was a +1. At Christmas Eve dinner, Mom asked me to help in the kitchen real quick, while everyone posed for photos. I came out 20 minutes later with vegetables, and Uncle Ray said, "Oh, you were here?" I was always there, just never counted. The distinction was subtle but cutting. My phone buzzed. A message from Mara. "Heads up, my aunt saw your mom yesterday. She's saying you're blowing things out of proportion, causing drama, always been a bit much." I set the phone down slowly. So that was the narrative now, not just erased, but rewritten. My silence wasn't just ignored, it was weaponized. I thought of every family event I attended out of duty, every birthday where I took photos instead of being in them, every gift I sent when no one remembered mine. I scrolled to a photo from 2 years ago, holiday dinner, everyone smiling. Mom held a wine glass, Zinnia wore red satin, Curtis had gravy on his shirt. I wasn't in it because I was behind the lens. I stared at it, willing it to include me. It didn't. "I was never in the picture," I whispered, "because I was holding the frame." Monday brought a gray sky and a breeze that hinted at change. I brewed coffee out of routine, the silence less comforting, more like a challenge. After answering work emails, I logged into the mortgage account I shared with Mom since Dad passed. I just wanted to confirm my last payment went through. But then I saw it, an unfamiliar document in the property profile. A revised ownership agreement. My name, on the original deed for 3 years, was gone. I downloaded the PDF. Filed 4 weeks ago, it listed Mom and Curtis as co-owners. No signature line for me, no consent requested, just erased. I called the county clerk. After 5 minutes of hold music and 2 transfers, a woman with a weary tone answered. "Yes, ma'am," she said after I gave the file number. The revision was filed in person, processed, notarized. I kept my voice even. "Is there a signature for me?" A long pause. "Yes, it says Aileen M. Jennings. Looks clean, but no ID attached." "I didn't sign that," I said flatly. "That's not mine." Her voice tightened. "I'd suggest contacting a property attorney if you suspect fraud." I thanked her and hung up. Fraud. Likely my mother's hand on the pen, crossing me out again, this time legally. I opened a folder on my desktop and found a copy of last year's fundraiser flyer for the senior community, the one I'd quietly funded when the city slashed their budget. Mom showed up in pearls and a pastel suit, gave a speech that moved people to tears, and accepted a plaque in the family's name. The newsletter called her the heart of the Jennings legacy. My name wasn't mentioned, not even in small print. I dragged the deed into the folder, renamed it Not Forgotten, just overlooked, and added screenshots of the newsletter and the event photo where Mom stood smiling with the mayor. I labeled the document Pattern. I didn't call her. Instead, I emailed a real estate attorney a coworker recommended, attaching the files and a brief timeline. I hit send before I could second guess. The light outside faded to a soft blue-gray. Shadows from the trees stretched across my living room floor. I hadn't changed out of my work clothes, hadn't eaten much of my microwave meal. I sat on the couch, staring at the muted TV. The silence felt staged, like it was waiting for something. Then a knock, soft but certain, not asking permission. I opened the door, already bracing. There was Mom, holding a pastel gift bag, tissue paper puffed up like a last-minute gesture. Her smile was tight, like it might crack. "Thought we could talk," she said. "Like grown-ups." I didn't move, didn't offer a seat. She walked in anyway, because that's Mom, setting the rules and expecting compliance. She sat on the couch's edge, like it might ruin her outfit. I stood. "I know how it looked," she started, smoothing her jeans, "but we thought you needed space after the dinner." I blinked once. "What happened at dinner," I said slowly, "was you didn't come." She ignored me, pressing on. "There were misunderstandings. You're not always easy to deal with." I cut in, voice sharp. "To what?" She sighed through her nose, dropping the pretense. "You're too sensitive. You take everything personally, like the world's against you." There it was, the family refrain. I was the problem. Too much, not enough, too serious. But I wasn't angry anymore, not the way they expected. I looked her in the eye. "No," I said evenly. "I just stopped covering for you." Her mouth twitched, caught between a smile and a grimace. "I didn't come to apologize," she said. "I just didn't want people thinking we ditched you. Not guilt, optics." She set the gift bag on the table like a peace offering. I picked it up, walked to the kitchen, and dropped it in the trash, not with fury, with finality. I pulled a page from a folder I'd prepared earlier that week. It listed every financial contribution I'd made to the family over 5 years. Dates, amounts, rent, groceries, bailouts, all unreturned. I handed it to her. "This," I said, "is who you've been talking about behind my back." She glanced at it, fingers tightening on the paper, but said nothing. "Next time someone asks where I've been," I continued, "tell them the truth. Tell them I stopped paying to be invisible." Her shoulders sagged, the mask too heavy to maintain. She stood, adjusted her coat like a shield, and walked to the door. Pausing, she muttered, "You'll regret this when you're alone." I closed the door behind her, turned the lock, and leaned against it. "I've already been alone," I whispered. "This time it's my choice." In the quiet that followed, I didn't feel empty. I felt unburdened. Friday evening came quietly, the air crisp with a first hint of winter. I left the balcony door open, letting the cold slip in like a quiet defiance. It stung, but it was honest, cleaner than the half-hearted concern I'd been dodging. I sat on the couch, barefoot, a blanket around my shoulders, a glass of wine catching lamplight on the table. I wasn't drinking. I wanted to feel everything unfiltered. I thought of Mom's visit, but it didn't sting. Her words were just noise now, not knives. You'll regret this when you're alone. I looked around. Alone wasn't a threat. It was where I'd always done my best thinking, where I'd pieced myself back together after their demands tore me apart. I shut the balcony door, the latch clicking with finality. My phone lit up. Family group chat, alive again. Notifications crawled across the screen. Emergency call. 8 p.m. sharp. No drama, let's keep it civil. Then Zania. Don't invite her this year. She kills the vibe. The chat was renamed Family First, with a broken heart and a waving emoji. They didn't kick me out. That would have taken courage. They just acted like I'd already left. I stared, then muted it, then deleted it. Not anger, not spite, just calm. An email from the attorney popped up. Final title adjustment confirmed. Your name is off the joint property, effective immediately. No fanfare, just truth. I exhaled steady. This wasn't victory. It was excision, cutting out a disease I'd mistaken for family. I unsubscribed from Mom's grocery delivery, still linked to my card, sending her overpriced snacks like a tax. I canceled autopay for shared streaming accounts, the photo cloud, the passwords. One by one, I untangled myself from their shadows. I drafted a message, handled what I needed. No further replies necessary. I sent it to the muted chat and moved on. I created a folder. Closure is mine. Inside went the deed, receipts, screenshots, Zania's email suggesting I skip Christmas, Mom's denial of borrowing my emergency fund while Venmoing herself the same day. I didn't need to revisit it, but it was proof. Not for them, for me. In the hallway mirror, I caught my reflection. I didn't look like someone pleading for a place. I looked like someone who'd weathered a storm and stayed standing. You broke me once, I said to the mirror, voice steady. I'm the one leaving now. Saturday morning came softly, sunlight creeping through the blinds like it was checking if it was welcome. I didn't grab my phone. I made coffee, bold roast, hidden from guests, and watered my plants, chatting with them like old friends. I pulled out a book of essays on stillness I'd barely started. For a moment, I believed I could ease into a life that was just mine, free of guilt or manufactured loyalty. Then my phone erupted. 1 missed call, then 3, then 7. The group chat, rebranded again. Family Unity SOS. Messages piled up. Let's talk tonight. No judgment, just solutions. We can fix this. Then Zania. Let's be real. Don't invite her. She ruins the mood. I stared at her unchanged profile pic. Thanksgiving at the house I'd helped pay for. Me cropped out. Arms full of pies. I didn't reply. I screenshotted every message, adding them to my attorney's defamation log. Instead of spiraling, I reached for a book Dad gave me years ago about stillness. A folded note slipped out, his handwriting clear. You give without asking. Don't let them steal that. Giving strength, baby girl, but it needs respect, or it becomes a burden. Burdens break. My eyes stung, not from sadness, but from being seen. I walked to my photo wall. So many moments, none mine. Zania's engagement party, where I paid for catering and cleaned alone at midnight, gone. Curtis's newborn, hospital deposit I covered, gone. The Sedona trip Mom took credit for, gone. I tossed them in a trash bag, except one. Dad and me, laughing on a porch, summer light in our hair. I taped it inside my closet door. Back in the living room, Zania's new post. A family dinner, cropped tight. Caption. Even when someone vanishes, family holds strong. Comments poured in. Hope you're okay. You're the strong one. Pray for her. I didn't cry. I screenshotted, emailed it to my attorney. Defamation log SU1. Then I turned off my phone. They wanted a quiet collapse. I said aloud, voice firm. They're getting a controlled exit. I drove to Boulder just before sunset. A store-bought chocolate cake on the passenger seat. Dad's favorite book, all the pretty horses beside it. The hour-long drive felt like crossing a permanent line. The air was crisp, cottonwoods swaying like they were letting go. I passed the restaurant from that awful Tuesday. I didn't look twice. Some places lose their weight when the people in them stop mattering. At Edith's care home, the front desk woman nodded. No questions about the lopsided cake or single candle. Some visits don't need explaining. They're in your hands, your quiet steps. Edith sat by the common room window, flipping through a picture-heavy magazine. She squinted, then grinned. "Well, look at you. Happy late birthday to me," I said, holding up the cake. She laughed. "Only you bring your own cake to your party. 1 candle," I added, "and no guest list." "1 guest's plenty," she said. I set the cake down, lit the candle with my purse lighter, usually for incense or frayed laces, now for birthday light. The flame flickered weakly. We didn't sing or wish aloud. We shared a too-sweet slice and sipped overcooked coffee. It was simple, but I felt seen in a way I hadn't in years. "I never had a daughter," Edith said, leaning back. "But I'd have wanted one like you, stubborn, not fragile, the kind who pulls up her own chair." I held her words like a keepsake. "If I'd had a mother like you," I said, "maybe I wouldn't have spent years learning to exist in rooms where no one held a place for me." We didn't cry, we just sat. By the time I left, the sky was lavender, a Colorado twilight. My phone buzzed, Mom's voicemail. I played it when I parked. "You've made your point. This family's breaking because of you." I deleted it mid-sentence. The guilt wasn't mine to carry. In my mailbox, a legal envelope, the title transfer, done, notarized, final. My name was off all shared properties, accounts, obligations, cut clean. I lit the candle from Edith's visit, marking the moment. I wrote on a note card, "Happy birthday, Aileen. You were worth showing up for." I placed it by the only photo I kept. Dad and me, fishing in a lake, barefoot, him in his untouchable ball cap, both grinning. Then I opened my laptop, new folder, new file. What I owe myself, Chapter 1. I didn't write a rant. I typed carefully, for me, because my story was finally mine. Sunday came before dawn. I woke to silence. No texts, no demands, just peace I'd earned. It wasn't loneliness, it was mine. I walked barefoot across the hardwood, brewed coffee, and opened the patio door. The air was gentle, not asking anything of me. I stood, sipping, watching the sky shift. My phone buzzed, Curtis's voicemail. "Mom's freaking out. Mortgage is late. Bank's calling. You knew this would happen when you bailed." No greeting, just blame. I forwarded it to my attorney. "Do not engage." The group chat lit up, "Mom. We didn't raise you to be heartless. Zania, you're family, but family doesn't ditch." I stared. They raised me to be quiet, to bend, to show up to locked doors. This wasn't abandonment, it was survival. I opened my closet, Dad's photo still taped there, his hand on my shoulder. It wasn't just proof I'd been loved, it was who I was without their gaze. I wrote a sticky note, "You didn't raise me to break. You taught me to hold." I placed it by the photo. Back at my desk, I opened what I owe myself. I typed, "Lesson 1, you can leave a table where love isn't served." I smiled, saved it, and searched for flights, not to escape, but to arrive somewhere new, undefined by their expectations. No big exit, no post, just a quiet choice. A ticket, a tomorrow mine. That was the freedom I'd been after. Not a house, not approval, but this. Coffee without dread, cruel messages I didn't answer, courage to say, "I don't stay here anymore." I wasn't lonely, I was complete. I wouldn't carry their silence, only my voice. That was enough. Walking away isn't weakness, it's wisdom. I spent years chasing a seat at a table never built for me. When I stood, I found I could build my own. If you're watching and have ever felt like a shadow in your own story, know this. Your worth isn't in who cheers for you, but in how you cheer for yourself. Have you ever had to release people you called family to find peace? Share your experience below. Tell me where you're tuning in from, and if this spoke to you, drop a 1 in the chat or tell me why it didn't. Every voice matters here. If you believe in healing, strength, and stories that hit the soul, hit subscribe. There's more truth to come.